Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
Now there's a mudslinger. Um, well, certainly the comic, the person that's maybe doing a little more censoring of their jokes, certainly wouldn't be at risk as much of being canceled as, a comedian who told some jokes and burned some bridges.
Welcome to the Comedians in Elevators podcast. I've got my guest, Sabrina Hamilton. Sabrina, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, hi there. I'm Sabrina. Thank you for hosting me on this show. Music has always been my first language, I say. Huge part of my life. I've studied all the instruments, music and performance, and now I produce my own audio and music content, trying to make my way into the voiceover world. And that's kind of how I came across you on LinkedIn, which is really cool. So yeah, just I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So, Sabrina, would you say that music is a universal language?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
All right. All right. Very cool. So, you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's go.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like when at the beginning of these conversations I ask you to subscribe. None of us like it. I don't like saying it. I don't like it being in here. But it's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? It's also frustrating when I look in the back end of the YouTube channel and I see that 56% of you that watch frequently haven't yet subscribed. And I know this because I see it in the comments section. You say things like, I didn't know I didn't subscribe. And that's actually what fuels the show. Basically, it's like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build, and we're going for the long term here. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me.
All right. So, the whole point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So, I define the comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the comedian who's a funny person telling any jokes. So, Sabrina, would you agree that you start as a comic and evolve into a comedian?
Okay, wow. So that's yes, I would, because as the comic you say that can be any person telling a joke or a funny joke, is that right?
That's one. So, I mean, that's what I've noticed, but there's other
Yeah.
versions. If you're a writer, you could say you don't even perform, and then that would be a comic writer, and it goes on and
Hmm.
on. But that's the
True.
question is how would you see it? How would you define it differently, if
True.
so?
Yeah. No, I like that distinction, and it's subtle, but it's kind of it's more based off like what that person's intention is, I suppose, and what they're wanting, like what sort of footprint they want to leave on the world, like as in any person, everyone's got their own sort of sense of humor. And it doesn't always translate person to person, but when you find your group of people and you can all kind of share a same sense of humor, that can be really rewarding and um, really fun to have that. But then kind of leveling up into a comedian, that's you're wanting to do that more and just like really fill that role and have that become more of your identity. I can see that as a natural progression for sure.
So, it sounds like you're maybe suggesting that the comic is more insulated, dealing with their own community, and then the comedian is branching out into other communities?
That could be. Yeah, that could be. Because there's different phases of it, kind of like the hobbyist versus someone who wants to make it more, perhaps their profession or um, kind of just reach that next level. Yeah, I could see that.
All right. All right. So, you ready for the first question, Serena?
Sure.
All right. It's about the role of persona in comedy. So, how much of the comedian's voice is a character versus the real self?
Oh man. So much of it because like you can have the animated characters where you're not seeing the actual person, but their voice is just it takes over. Like I'm thinking of Yzma specifically from Emperor's New Groove. Such a crazy, chaotic, up and down, and just so fun. Like in that is the character then, and So I love that. I love voice actors who just really make that character their own, and then that character lasts the test of time just because of how necessary and important that voice was for that character.
Okay. So speaking of voice, so then does authenticity matter or is illusion part of the magic?
Authenticity versus well, what would you describe as illusion?
Right. So that illusion or delusion, right? So it
Mhm.
depends on if you believe that we're creating the matrix with our own perceptions. And so if you're authentic and that's a fact that the matrix is a construct of our own minds, those would be the same thing. So authenticity would be delusion. So I don't know if I made it clearer with the question. Yeah.
Me- I want to say you did. Um,
Ah,
hmm.
sorry.
Oh, so I'm trying to think of like examples. Um, so like any voice actor or actor in their role, like portraying or like being authentic and that just comes through, or
Hmm.
maybe versus like them needing to kind of create the illusion or the different character within themselves. But it's still, I still think it might still have, there's always going to be a little bit of authenticity in that still, because that's, or else just someone's completely making it up and it could lose its humanity or could lose the vulnerability that we connect to.
Hmm.
That could
Okay.
be, yeah.
Yeah, so how about punching up versus punching down? So where do comics versus comedians subscribe to this? And let me put it in some historical context.
Okay.
Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
Oh my gosh. Well. Hmm. So would that be an example of punching down?
That's one way to look at it. Yeah.
Okay. Or like do you have examples of what a punching up, like what would you consider a punch up
Right. So
situation?
I yeah, so a lot of people have alluded to Robin Williams and that
Mhm.
his characters are, even when he plays dark characters, he's very upbeat. And so the question is was he punching up on himself? Right?
Hmm.
Because he's so positive, even in his own art, clearly a comedian because he's impersonating, embodying those characters so much. So, that's one way to look. I don't think he was punching down. So, so
No,
was that, so
no.
is that an example of up?
Yeah, I would say just to be in a supportive and like um appreciating and respecting that work, but because and Robin Williams is such a great example because yes, he is so funny and makes everyone laugh, brings joy, but he can tap into the other side too, and like vulnerability, and really navigate difficult scenarios and situations very beautifully too. I think of his movie What Dreams May Come, and that was one of his more serious roles, but still so beautiful. And there's still on either side of it, there's still you're connecting to it because it's art, but there's things that everyone can connect to with the love and loss themes. So that I suppose a punch up.
Yeah, I think he was punching up on the afterlife or the
Mm,
underworld is one way to look at it. So he's punching up
yeah.
on the down. Maybe that's where the
Yeah.
question. So,
Yeah, there you
so how
go.
about the cultural translation of comedy? So, how do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
Well, yeah. Well, different countries depends on exactly which ones, but we don't always have the same society setups and vernacular. So, and even just the literal translation from English to whatever the other language something might fall apart there just in the translation. But yeah, I definitely think, being mindful of where you are and the audience is
Mhm.
definitely important to at least acknowledge and respect whenever possible.
Absolutely. So, how does the silence when your joke doesn't land hurt?
Oh,
Physically, emotionally, morally, or spiritually?
hmm. I suppose it could on any level, but the first ones that came to mind, like I would probably, have a little bit of body language, kind of like concave and be like, "Oh man, why didn't you like my joke?" Or kind of, just be down. So certainly emotionally, maybe even mentally then, because you're in your head like, "I'm not funny," and then, try to get yourself through with the negative talk in the back of your mind. So, I would,
You said you said concave?
or at least like your whole body just kind of shuts down and
Oh,
you
I see.
cave in on yourself because you're
Oh,
suddenly self-conscious because someone didn't find your joke funny and then you somehow
got
could
it.
internalize that and just go on this whole spiral of,
So is this like the
well,
dance move, the concave convex? It's a new. Oh, I'm just trying
yeah,
to.
yeah,
It might turn into turn into
there
something.
you go. Yeah.
Um, all right. So, how about love and justice? So, is the highest function of comedy to expose injustice or to make people feel less alone while living with it?
Oh, wow. Hmm. I certainly see it doing both, but perhaps my favorite of the two would be letting people know they're not alone is an important one. And again, kind of like I mentioned earlier, when you find your group of people or communities that share similar sense of humor or life experiences with you, it can be something really bonding. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, and I've heard really great comedians, on Netflix or Kevin Hart is amazing. He's hilarious and other female comedians too, but just some of their material, it's like, that's really funny. I never would have thought I would have heard someone actually say that out loud. So that's a really cool thing about comedy too, is um kind of what's brought out there and it's like, oh yeah, I can relate to that somehow.
You somehow, so you said other female comedians and you alluded to Kevin Hart. So, is there something
No,
I don't know? Something I'm missing?
no, no, I was
Beady,
just
beady,
trying to
beady.
be inclusive,
I
but
know,
it's
I'm being.
my fault for not knowing having a female. Ellen DeGeneres there. She
Ah.
was one from.
Well, it's a joke. So I was alluding to maybe you're the comedian at the level of Kevin Hart, or Kevin Hart was a
Oh my
woman.
gosh. I will not claim that, but
I
no,
know. I'm mincy. I'm picking at the words.
that's okay.
So, yeah. Okay. So, very important question, Sabrina.
Okay.
Advertising and self-promotion. Who advertises themselves more, the comic, the comedian, or the magician?
You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here, where you've got the utility and you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast and get the message out today. See you soon.
The magician, a magician comes out of nowhere, huh? Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. Well, I suppose again, the comedian person, like if they're at that stage where that's what they want to, bring in, that's what they want their profession to be, I would hope that they would have a lot of marketing and putting themselves out there specifically to say, hey, I'm a comedian, come to my show, stuff like that, generate a buzz. Um, yeah, and then you threw me with that magician, with the magician edition. Um,
Ah,
but
that's right.
yeah. But anyone
I
who
mean,
wants
that's just
to,
undiscovered science, so we have to make it work.
yeah. Well, anyone who wants to be known for something, they should certainly put that out there so people can know and then, build your brand and your network and watch it grow.
Exactly. Okay, so then, Sabrina, what don't you want me to know about you?
If I told you, then you would know.
That's
Uh,
right.
let's see. Let's
What a
see.
conundrum.
Yes. That's a good question, though. I have an answer. Mm. I mean, well, the first thing that comes to mind, I can definitely get in my head and just have those, the negative thoughts kind of try to sabotage. what I'm trying to do and build sometimes. So it's been a journey getting to a point that I can at least acknowledge that and then have this kind of second thought like, well, I don't have to listen to the bad voices in my head. I can just shut that off and, choose to get grounded and then tune into a channel that's more uh, uplifting and supporting and, reach out to a friend at that point or something. But I suppose that's something about me that I wouldn't want you to know.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So how about censorship and offense? So does a comic avoid offense while a comedian courts it to prove a point, like a magician?
Hmm. I suppose I could see that because coming back to the comic is being anyone who tells jokes. That could be like, perhaps even like in a work office situation, you wouldn't want to be offensive, so you'd kind of we'll work around it or maybe just not even tell that joke if it's super offensive or could risk that. So I guess the situation that you're in and who's around you would would matter. Because I know like when I'm in my group of closest friends, I'm myself, I'm not really filtering what I'm saying, but of course in other situations where, it might be a little more professional or just not the right time to let certain things out, you could modify that. But I definitely think the comedian, what could make a comedian very successful is how they kind of go there and, say, but then they're going to have haters and people that really love them too. So, but if you're okay with that, then that's just going to be part of it.
All right. So then who survives better in the cancel culture environment? The comic, the comedian, the
Hmm.
magician, or the mudslinger?
Now there's a mudslinger. Um, well, certainly the comic, the person that's maybe doing a little more censoring of their jokes, certainly wouldn't be at risk as much of being canceled as, a comedian who told some jokes and burned some bridges. So I could see that. And the mudslinger, he's just gonna throw mud everywhere and he'll be fine. So I'm not worried about that person.
All right. All right. So how about timing and delivery? Is it a science or an art?
Hmm. Well, it's definitely an art, but those that can make it just come so natural, like there's definitely, I would, maybe like there'd be like a algorithmic formula of tell this part of the joke, wait, then but the person that can just do it just does it naturally and it just comes naturally to them. But if someone isn't as natural at it, like maybe just a comic, and they kind of wait a little too long for the punchline or deliver it too quickly, and then it just falls flat. Um, I think there's definitely an art to it for sure.
Would you think part of the art is keeping intrusive thoughts out?
That depends, I guess, because if that could be part of the setup and the journey, I could see some jokes really working well with that, but um,
I think
if
Kramer would disagree.
he's just one intrusive thought externalized, and his hair is an actor
Right.
as well. That was great. Yeah, so he's a funny character too, very up and down and manic a lot of times. Yeah, so
All right. So how about comedy as commentary? So is truth treasure in heaven?
hmm, comedy is commentary, like using comedy to observe a certain aspect of culture or something like
Yeah.
that.
So like when does a comedian cross into being a philosopher or a preacher?
Ooh, interesting. Well, I would say when they've certainly gained a following of people that enjoy their work and, repeatedly seek out their performances or content online and, just kind of growing a loyal crowd. Not to say they're going to literally become a preacher, but just the fact that, sometimes certain communities they'll gravitate towards people out in public because of their message and what they uh, if they support inclusivity and all this stuff. So, if you have a loyal enough following, I would say you kind of cross over into being just bigger than just the comedian. You're kind of a spokesperson or a symbol for your message that you're cumulatively providing.
All right. So, Sabrina, are you ready to enter the multiverse?
Oh, am I ready to enter it or answer it?
Yes.
Enter
Well,
it.
well, the only way you can really answer is if you've experienced the multiverse, right?
Sure. Well, I'm ready. Yeah, let's go. I think that's fascinating.
All right. All right. So, board game Zoomcast, play versus performance. So, you have to choose an avatar. So, if comedy were a board game Zoomcast, are you competing as the colorist avatar, adding tone, mood, and shading, or the Foley artist avatar, building punchlines with soundscapes and timing?
Oh my. Those are both great options, but I do the one with the timing and the sound effects and like creating that's probably where I would gravitate
Yeah,
toward.
that's right. Break glass, tell a joke. That's the one. So, does comedy work better when it's painted vividly or when it's orchestrated sonically?
Hmm. Like painted, like literally painted,
I mean,
or
that's
that's up
so
to
there's, you're
interpretation.
in the multiverse, so you gotta,
Mm.
literally is also figuratively, which is also
Oh,
literally,
right.
depending on.
Okay,
uh,
okay. Well, you could certainly experience comedy visually by seeing, you could see paintings of like happy, fun characters having a good time. But you could certainly hear it too, like thinking of the kind of old school cartoons with the sound effects, like a little slide flute, I think it was called, "Rear," and just
Oh, yeah,
like when a character slips on a banana peel or
yeah.
something. So there's certainly audible, cute, like funny sound effects that are used
Hmm.
in certain ways to depict that. So I guess I'd lean more towards audibly experiencing it.
All right. Yeah, I haven't slipped on a whoopee cushion in a while, so I gotta
Well, don't
get
sit
some
on one
get that.
either.
No, no, no. Only bananas. That's see, now it's getting weird. All right, so so here on the Comedians and Elevators podcast, we have a tradition where the previous guest asks a question for the next guest. And the
Oh,
previous guest was Chandler Goodrich. And his question for you, Sabrina, is what do you think makes a joke funny?
oh man. Okay. There has to be a little bit of truth to it, I guess, or like something that connects it. And like all going back to like, personal experiences, just funny stuff happens in our daily lives. And if someone can kind of pick up on that and craft a beautiful joke around it, that's this type of stuff that I find funny when, someone calls out a situation that I probably don't really speak publicly about, but they wrap it up in a joke and it's like so funny. So, um, I suppose that just having an element of truth in it is my answer.
Got it. Like you're trying to get the banana into the frying pan, but you have to sit on the peel just for it to come out. So I'm not sure what the funny is on that, but I'm going to work on it. So
Okay, yeah.
fair enough. So last question, legacy. Who gets remembered? Will the comics Tight Five survive time, or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
Yeah, I definitely think the with the cultural point of view because it's kind of a commentary on society and reality at that given time. So that can make more of an imprint uh, with longer lasting legacy. I could see that.
All right, awesome. So Sabrina, where can everybody find you online?
Oh, yes. So I'm on LinkedIn. Sabrina Hamilton is my full name there, but also Instagram and YouTube. I'm at Sabrina Hamilton VO, and I post pretty regularly. I've got different sound design projects with animation and voiceover, original material there. So I'm constantly growing and seeking out opportunities to collab or pick up some work there. So look me up and you'll find me there.
Awesome. Well, Sabrina, thank you so much for being my guest. And for everyone, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
If you're interested in too much information like in the network state or Mantipus the chicken shit, check out this video. Or is it this one right here? Well, either way. Lizard.